Hey bitches! I called out sick from work because I might have the strep, and also because it's just like a very rainy day and it has been a crazy week and I'm a terrible employee and a pseudo-Marxist and I didn't feel like going to work. Thanks, Tulane University. But look, let's not waste the day. I've got my cardamom something or other. It's like cardamom, turmeric, chai. That's supposed to be good for you. I got it from a really cute lesbian at the cafe on the corner. One day I'm going to hit on her when I don't walk in there looking like I just woke up, which is the one and only way I roll into that corner cafe. Call me. Look, so I pulled these last night. This is one of those spreads where I look at it. I mean, I think every spread is true, and that's why I do tarot, but this was one of those like award-winning Cable Ace ones where I look at it and I'm just like, damn tarot though. Like, it came for me. Okay, look, so I may have pulled this with the thought of like love and relationships in mind because like, yeah, I don't know how exciting this will be to anyone because I'm basically just talking about my own personal life and why the fuck would you care, but maybe you'll learn something about tarot. Because girl, my therapist and my astrologers are all like, okay, like you've been going through some shit for like 3 years, you're finally coming out of it, things are finally coming together, you're going into 2018 hella strong. And me just personally, but also me as a Gemini, like Geminis are so fun and playful and attractive and coquettish and smart and witty and all of these things that make us really good for like casual dating. But if we're not in a good place in other areas of our life, then none of it really matters. Because at the end of the day, Geminis are a very self-centered sign. Yes, we do love attention. Yes, we do love praise when we love it, when the good twin is out and we want to be around people. And then the rest of the time we just don't want to talk to anyone. But we essentially are a self-sustaining sign. Like, we don't need the validation. Like, we aren't Aries. No offense. Sorry, but we're not. You know, I'm trying to think of who else. I don't know. Other people. And I also have a moon in Leo, so Leo's just like, Leos don't even, girl, Leos just get attention. They don't even need to, girl, they just do it, right? And even if Leos don't get what they want, even if they don't get validation, they're ultimately fine. They love it. They live for it. They shower in it, but they don't need it. Which is also why Geminis and Leos tend to get along, because we get it. We get it. Leos are like, I don't fucking need you. And Geminis are like, oh, well, I don't fucking need you. And then we're like, ooh, that's really sexy, actually. Let's be friends. All this to say, it's time. Things are going good. Finances are stable for the first time in a long time. I've been living in New Orleans now for 9 months. Things are like kind of settled. I'm in deep in my do-over life, as I'm now calling it. Like, dealt with some issues, did my therapy, got a job, have housing. Like, things are secure. So now we can be back out in the streets. Saturn's going direct on the 22nd, like leaving my house of relationship, not going direct, sorry, is leaving my house of relationships on the 22nd. Mercury goes direct on the 22nd. So like we're looking at it for real. And what card comes out at the very end of this reading? Of course, the Lovers. Like, in case I didn't know what I was pulling cards for, whoop, there it is. Come on, come on. And this spread, ooh, it's a read. It is a lot of peanut butter on a lot of bread. So we started up here with the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands represents sort of like a youth, creative, vitality, this energy, this kind of like spring in the step, spunk in your life. If you look at this dude's little romper, there's salamanders all over it, which is a fire representation. So it could literally mean a fire sign walking into my life, which, yes, has happened recently. And or could just mean that I'm being more open-hearted right now. That's really more than anything. I mean, like, the Sagittarius is also on my mind. But that, more than anything, is what I think this card represents, is me finally getting to a place where I feel like I can be open again. Open my heart a little bit. You know, be open to these new experiences. Tanya, my therapist, I wish she was watching this right now because she'd be like, yes, yes, yes. Because that's what she tells me. Be open to new experiences. Be open to people. Okay. And I listen. You know what she tells me to be open? I go to the bar and I make out with people. I'm a good client. Okay. come over here to the 7, 8, sorry, I can't count. The 8 of Pentacles. I love this card. It's not visually the most stunning card in the deck by any means, but I love what it represents. This dude is just working his ass off. And if you'll notice, he's in tattered rags. So he's got the wealth around him to replace those clothes, but he's not doing it for the money. The money is coming, the rewards are coming. It's not fruitless labor, it's extremely fruitful labor, but it's not even about the fruit. He's working, God damn it, what is that Japanese word? Somebody leave it in the comments. I'm being such a white woman right now. I'm like, there's a Japanese word that describes this concept. But there is, where it talks about just the idea of making everything you do. I'm going to put it in the description box, I swear. Just making everything you do art. Doing something for the sake of doing it well. And I think, so to me, the way I'm reading these two cards together is like, you being me, need to keep an open heart and an open mind, but understand that this is going to be work. Yes, hi, I'm a Gemini. Also, I didn't mention that the lovers represent Gemini. That is like our card in the tarot deck. So this reading is very much like, hey girl, I see you. So Geminis have a tendency to sacrifice depth and sacrifice meaning for frivolity. And, you know, part of it is getting older, but I think more so than that, it's just like, I've been through through some shit. And the Saturn transit that's now coming to an end in my house of relationships, it's kind of like, you don't want that shit anymore. And these cards aren't lying, like, they're right. You know, like, I've done it. I've been out in the streets. I've had a good time. I've had a bad time. Girl, Charles Dickens came in and he was like, it is the best of times, it is the worst of times. And he was not lying when he wrote that about my love life. Right? That's where he wrote it, right? It was in a blog post about my love life, Charles Dickens, right? Charlie D. So anyway, I'm not there anymore. I want something serious. Well, back up. Let me stop. I don't mean by serious, I don't mean like, oh, I need to get married and have kids and boo 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 bee 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 ba 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 ba. Like, I don't mean that. But I do want something that has emotional depth. That's what I mean. It doesn't need to look any particular way. It doesn't need to be a man, a woman, a marriage, a family. It doesn't need to be all of these really like monogamy. It doesn't need to be all that shit. But it does need to have emotional depth to it. Because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point, girl? Like, you could get laid. Girl, it is so easy to get laid. And if you're watching this, A, thank you. And B, you might be thinking either, yeah, duh, it's totally easy. You're like, no, it's really hard. No. It might be hard to get laid by the people that also emotionally enhance your life. Now that I 100% agree with. It is really hard to find that. But actual just like fuck? Yeah, that's super easy, girl. You could do that any day of the week. I'm not into that right now. I don't think I'm going to be into just that again for a really long time. Until I'm like 45 and cooging it hardcore. For now, like, I'm really interested in putting in that work. I want to put the work in. Yes, I want to keep my heart and mind open, and I want to be young and hold on to that Gemini youthfulness, because that is just my spirit. I will always be that way. I will always be a little bit of the Page of Wands, but I'm at a place now where I'm willing to put in the work for the sake of the work. Not so I can get XYZ, but for the sake of actually working on emotional intimacy, because the work is the reward when it comes to emotional intimacy. Am I right, ladies? I think I am. We get down here. These cards stress me out. These cards are like a warning. So I feel like the way I'm reading this is here just kind of presiding over the reading. Like, we know it's here to represent me and my situation. It's Gemini, it's love, we got this. These two cards together, I'm really reading as like, this is what you need to do, this is what you want to do, and you know what it is. You both have to be loose and disciplined. Emotionally, maybe loose is a bad word, sounds pejorative. Emotionally flexible, but willing to work at it. So flexible but not lazy. We come down here, we've got the 8 of Wands and the 9 of Swords. They're both in the reverse position. I can never look at this card without stressing out. This is just such a fucking stressful card. I know I'm not supposed to pick favorites or enemies in this deck. I know I'm not. But the 9 of Swords, I mean, look at this fucking card. Like, every time I see the 9 of Swords, it just, brings my heart to my throat. In the upright position, this is just, I mean, it's a card of just abject despair and grief. It's not a good card. In the reverse position, it's not a good card either, but there is more of like a cautionary tale in the reverse position. It's basically like, are you doing this to yourself? Are you making a situation, a circumstance, an idea more complicated and painful than it has to be? Are you taking pain and turning it into suffering because of your relentless cognition? Which also, hey, big problem for the Geminis in the world. We do that. We do that. We are a thoughtful sign. We are constantly thinking. We're an air sign. And you know what? The swords represent Gemini, like the sword, the suit of the air signs. So this card is very much like, CJ McCullough, don't make things bad when they're not bad. Which I absolutely, because I'm afraid to be this, because I have been historically really bad at being emotionally vulnerable with people, it's really easy for me to do this. This is a very intimate reading. I don't know if anyone's going to watch it. If you're watching it, please be gentle with me. But like this, because I am afraid to be open and intimate emotionally with people, I very easily and, admittedly pretty cleverly will slip into this where I make situations up to be bad, or something someone said meant one thing when it really didn't mean that. Like any excuse I can to shut myself off to get the Page of Wands out of here. And I feel like this card is like, don't do that. We know we want to be here. We know what we need to do. But undergirding this plan of action are these things that you historically partake in, and you need to not do that. Also down here, 8 of Wands in reverse, 8 of Wands upright. There's a few ways you could interpret that depending on the reading, but it's speed. These things are flying through the air and they're growing. There's just verdant, lush land behind them. It's like something's happening and it's happening quick. In this position, it can mean delays. In the reverse, it can mean delays. But in this particular context, what I really think it means for me is like, take it slow. Take it slow. Don't do this. If you feel yourself doing this, back off. Hi, vagina base. Back off. Relax. Relax. 2018 is going to be the year of relax, girl. I already know. 2018 is like, you need to calm down and you need to let things go. I already know. It's already a theme. I already got it. I already got the download. So I think that these two things combined, it's like, take it slow. Take it slow so you don't fall into this. And so you can make these things happen so that you can get to this. And what I love about the Lovers card too, sorry, my fingers are all up in your face. But what I love about the Lovers card, it's not just like, oh, it's lovers. The whole, and yeah, I know it looks very heterosexual and like whatever, these were made a long time ago. But it's supposed to also represent the communion of duality. And also, let's make ourselves feel better about the compulsory heterosexuality of this card. This dude is looking at the woman, and the woman is looking up at the angel. So it's like he represents base desires, duh. Like he's the world, she's the super consciousness, and he is the supra consciousness. Like the path to the female and then to the divine. Right? Loving it. But my point being is that this card also represents a union of two different things that lead to something divine. So it's not just boom, boom, bang, bang. It's a union that is spiritually fulfilling and spiritually elevating. Like leveling the fuck up through this. And really, I also love the idea that he's looking at her and she's looking at him or whoever, because at the end of the day, when you love someone, whether it's romance, whether it's a family member, whatever it is, what you are loving in that person is your own spark of divinity. Like, you are seeing in that other person the spark of God that also lives in you. And for some reason, and it lives in everyone, but for some reason, you can see hundreds of people every day, and like no one has the flame in the exact same way you have it, and then you see someone that does, and it's really easy to make things about them. And it is, like, take them into account and love them and see them as fully autonomous and holistic and complicated people, and yet understand that at the end of the day, like, someone can't hurt you that you love. There's nothing they can take away from you if you love them and they don't love you back or whatever. That's not even the point. The point isn't to get love in return. It's really hard for people to understand that. It's really hard for me to understand that. But the point is to find in another person that which you recognize as your own divinity. And you don't need reciprocated love for that to happen. And I actually think, like, we woe unrequited love way too fucking much in this culture. But we also hold it up on a pedestal too, right? Like, all of these songs about broken hearts and yada, yada, yada. Because there is something really beautiful about heartbreak, right? There's something really beautiful about grief. I think we can all on some instinctual level relate to that. But it's also, I think, just like when you love someone who doesn't love you back, that can still be a really beautiful thing. Doesn't mean indulge too much. That doesn't mean let them abuse you or neglect you. I'm not saying that. Understand that I'm not saying that. But there's no such thing as wasted love. If you love someone, you got something out of that, regardless of how they responded to it, right? Cool. I'm on a good one. That's why I love this card. It's also why I'm so proud that this is the card that represents my sign. Because I think that is the Gemini, that's our whole gig, is we see other people as a means of knowledge, and the whole point of collecting knowledge is to translate it into action, which is then called wisdom. And the whole point of wisdom is to connect with God, or whatever you want to call it. So I love this reading because I see, like, it's saying, hey girl, there it is. I'll just keep an eye on this. Oh, my throat is starting to hurt. Last thing we'll do, bottom of the deck down here, also acutely relevant for this reading. Four of Cups. Oh my God, like this, on a personal level, this card means so much to me, and it's also coming for me. So quickly, this dude staring at these 3 cups, arms are crossed, deep in thought. There's literally a hand popping out of the sky like, oh, hey bro, here's your cup that was missing. Because obviously there's a space missing, here's a cup for you. And he doesn't even seem to notice it because he's so deep in thought. To me, this card is a signal to get out of my own damn head. Be thoughtful and meditative, important, but don't let that obscure the opportunities that are presenting themselves. And also it's a sign, and girl, woo girl, like this is the big kicker. Don't be defensive. Beware defensiveness. Because look at it, like he's in a very defensive posture. And in the scheme of this whole reading, it's like, again, with me trying to lean more into my Page of Wands energy, it's like, over here, it's like, but don't fuck that up. Like, don't shut yourself off. You're gonna wanna do it. And I know I already am. I'm gonna wanna do it. I did it the other night. But Saturn's not gonna let that happen. You know what though? I'm not worried. I'm not worried because I'm divinely protected. And I believe that. But I'm also not worried because Saturn came to lecture, girl. Saturn came for a keynote speech, and it has been keynoting for like 3 damn years, and it's not gonna let me leave without testing me and making damn sure that I pass that test. And that's what I'm going through right now, and this reading is a beautiful representation of that test. It's like, this is the syllabus right here. This is my Saturn syllabus. This is the parting gift from Saturn. I just got chills saying that. It's a really beautiful thing. You know, as shitty as experiences can be, like, the worst pain can sometimes be the best teacher. I know this is so cheesy, but it's true. The poet Rumi says, don't turn away from the pain. The pain is where the light comes in. So fucking true. And Saturn is like, I told you. All right, I'm gonna go lay in bed and stare at my dog. Sweet baby tuna.